Before steel learned to move, fear ruled the battlefield. Not the fear of death that had always been present, but the fear of stagnation. Armies once advanced at walking speed, halted by mud, wire, and machine guns. Trapped in wars that devoured lives without yielding decisions. Somewhere in that paralysis, a question emerged: what if protection itself could advance? History did not answer loudly. It answered with engines. Armor in time at the dawn of the 20th century. Warfare had reached a brutal contradiction. Industrial power had perfected killing, but not movement. Infantry advanced into storms of bullets. Cavalry had become ceremonial ghosts. Artillery reshaped landscapes but could not seize them. The First World War exposed this imbalance with merciless clarity. Trenches stretched across continents, not because commanders lacked courage, but because technology punished motion. Every attempt to break the deadlock ended the same way. Progress measured in meters. Losses counted in thousands. Change was no longer optional. It was demanded by survival itself. The tank was not born from brilliance alone, but from desperation. British engineers, staring at maps stained with blood, imagined a machine that could cross trenches, crush wire, and shield men from fire. The idea was ungainly, mechanical, almost absurd, an armored box on tracks. Many doubted it. Generals questioned its reliability. Politicians questioned its cost. Even its creators questioned whether such a machine could survive the battlefield. But history often advances not by consensus, but by stubborn persistence. When tanks first rolled into battle in 1916, they were slow, fragile, and unreliable. Many broke down before reaching the enemy. Some were abandoned in mud, silent monuments to ambition. Yet others moved forward, and that was enough. They crossed ground once deemed impossible. They unnerved defenders who had never faced a machine that advanced without fear. Soldiers did not yet see perfection. They saw possibility. The tank had proven not its dominance, but its direction. War does not tolerate imbalance for long. As tanks improved, so did the responses. Anti-tank guns emerged, tactics evolved. Armor-thickened engines grew stronger. Radios turned isolated vehicles into coordinated forces. By the Second World War, tanks were no longer experiments. They were instruments of doctrine. Speed, shock, and concentration replaced attrition. Maneuver returned to warfare, not through horses, but through steel. The battlefield had learned to move again. The true transformation came not from the machine itself, but from how it was used. Blitzkrieg demonstrated that tanks were not independent heroes, but parts of a system integrated with infantry, air power, and command networks. After this, no major army could ignore armored warfare. Even those who resisted were eventually reshaped by it. Strategy shifted from holding ground to controlling momentum. There was no return to static war. The idea had escaped its origins. In the decades that followed, tanks grew heavier, smarter, and more lethal. Missiles challenged their dominance. Drones watched from above. Precision weapons promised their obsolescence. Yet tanks remain not because they are invincible, but because they combine protection, firepower, and presence in a way no other system fully replaces. They embody a truth war has never abandoned. Control of land still matters. Their shadow stretches across modern battlefields, reminding us that evolution rarely erases. It adapts. The 20th century faded. A quiet skepticism settled over armored warfare. Precision-guided missiles promised to kill tanks from afar. Satellites stripped away concealment. Urban battlefields reduced maneuver to narrow streets. And fragile angles, many asked calmly but firmly. Whether the age of the tank had finally passed, yet history is wary of funerals declared too early. Tanks adapted not by becoming invulnerable, but by becoming integrated. Active protection systems learned to intercept threats mid-air. Digital networks fused tanks into broader battle systems, where information mattered as much as armor. Crews became operators of data as much as steel. In this age of doubt, the tank endured not as a relic, but as a reminder. Warfare evolves fastest where assumptions are questioned, not abandoned amid armor plates and engine noise. It is easy to forget the human presence within the machine. Yet every tank is ultimately a vessel of decision, fear. Discipline and judgment steel may shield the body, but it is the crew that gives the weapon purpose. Inside the confined hull, war becomes intimate. Vision is narrow, time compresses. Choices are made in seconds, often with incomplete knowledge. Training, trust, and cohesion determine survival as much as technology. A superior tank, poorly crewed, becomes a liability. A modest machine, well handled, can shape outcomes. The evolution of tank warfare, then, is not merely mechanical. It is psychological, as long as war demands human will to occupy ground. The tank remains not just a weapon, but a test of those who command and inhabit it. The future of tank warfare does not arrive with a single invention, but with a quiet accumulation of choices. Automation advances cautiously. Artificial intelligence assists but does not yet. Command crews remain inside, not because machines cannot replace them, but because responsibility cannot be programmed so easily. Tomorrow's tanks may fire first without being seen. They may coordinate with unmanned systems, guided by sensors that feel the battlefield before it speaks. Yet their purpose remains familiar: to move forward where resistance is strongest, to endure where others cannot. In this, the tank reveals its final lesson. Technology changes, form doctrine changes, language. But the need for protected presence, decisive human and deliberate, endures. History, once again, does not close the chapter. It leaves the page open. The tank did not end war. It did not make it humane, nor decisive forever. What it changed was the conversation between fear and movement, between vulnerability and advance. Steel will one day rust, engines will fall silent. But the idea that protection can move, that survival can advance, will continue to echo. History does not shout, it remembers.